Konnichiwa, welcome back. We've got another Mere Mortals book review. Today I'm going to be talking about Haruki Murakami's What I Talk About When I Talk About Running. Look, a bit of a book review on this one. The guy, I never knew about this. I never knew about this particular writer. He's particularly a novelist. He writes predominantly novels in the fiction side of things, but this one is not a fiction. It's essentially a bit of a small read, less than 200 pages, just the way I like it. And it kind of talks about from 2005 through to 2006, a little bit of snippets and takes on essentially his running, but the title of the book, What I Talk About When I Talk About Running, really describes what he goes on, because it is short snippets around what Haruki thinks about, talks about, converses with other people around running. Now, two things that I really enjoyed about the book. One, if you haven't read anything by Haruki, he is a great character in the way that he showcases his writing, so a great literate piece. In terms of the way that you interact with it, you almost feel like you're talking to him directly. That's how I took it away when I was reading this book. It almost felt like, as you sort of turn the pages, you're kind of interacting with him and you get to feel a little bit what it would be like to talk to him in person. The book itself has quite a lot of good takeaways. Takeaways in the sense that you don't see huge things that come out of it that are emboldened. This is, however, the book that made the particular sentence, "Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional," quite famous. So we've got Mr Murakami to thank for that. This particular book is actually, I believe, a translation over from the Japanese. It's traditional writing over into English, but it still reads quite beautifully. I wanted to pull out a particular pages from the book just so you can kind of see what it's like, and I'll just go essentially at random here. So here's one where he's talking about where he's essentially going to run through beyond a marathon time. So this is going into 60 miles, I believe it is, or 60 kilometers. So no, forget about the beer, and forget about the sun, forget about the wind, forget about the article I have to write. Just focus on moving my feet forward, one after the other. That's the only thing that matters. Past 22 miles, I'll never run more than 22 miles. This is terra incognita. On the left is a line of rugged, barren mountains. Who could ever have made them? On the right, an endless row of olive orchards. Everything looks covered in a layer of white dust, and the strong wind from the sea never lets up. What is up with this wind? Why does it have to be this strong? The book itself, it just brings to mind a lot of quite picturesque scenes when you're reading it through. I think it's one of those books to really ease your mind, especially I was reading it through at nighttime, and I was able just to kind of de-stress, not really think about it, but then you pick up at one or two items where you go, yeah, awesome to pick that up. That was a good little learning, note it down somewhere, keep on reading. So be on the lookout for the actual quotes and the learnings I took away from this particular book. In the end, I get to 7.5 out of 10, predominantly because while the story is solid and there's quite a few takeaways, it is in essence Mr. Murakami putting down his thoughts just into paper, almost in a fluid way where he's just sat down at home, he's just finished a particular run, and you can see through his notes, he'll position himself in different locations, so one being in Hawaii, being in Japan, talking about his marathons that he does year on year and his translation into triathlons. So all the while it's kind of him just almost blurting out into a page, what is he feeling, what did he talk about? But just the way that he can sort of express it through writing is quite strong. But again, apart from that, not all together, all that takeaways, that's why I have to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Haruki Murakami's What I Talk About When I Talk About Running. Definitely go check it out if you also want to be motivated about running. Doesn't go too deep into the running space, but obviously he talks a little bit about it. So that is all from me. One out.